Hey everyone, and welcome to Unfiltered Reflections, your space for deep dives into the world within. I'm your host, Passion, and today we're turning our gaze inwards, exploring a feeling we all know so well, self consciousness. We're going to peel back the layers, look at the shadows it casts, and most importantly, how we can begin to navigate them with greater understanding and self compassion. Before we go further, let's get clear on what we mean by self consciousness. It's more than just shyness, although shyness can certainly be a symptom. It's that awareness of ourselves as objects, as something that can be observed and judged by others. It's the heightened sensitivity to how we believe we appear to the world and the anxiety that can come with it. It's the inner critic on overdrive. I want to start with a story, a personal one. As a teenager, I was incredibly self conscious about my acne. It wasn't a severe case, but it was enough to make me feel self conscious in every social situation. I remember the feeling vividly, the constant feeling of my face being exposed, the fear of being stared at, the overwhelming belief that everyone was judging me. My first experience of being self conscious happened around the age of 13. We were at a school dance, and I was mortified about my complexion. The harsh fluorescent lights seemed to amplify every blemish. I stayed in the bathroom for most of the night, too afraid to face the crowds. That moment, burned into my memory, became a blueprint for future self-consciousness. It was like a small seed of doubt planted deep within, ready to blossom in various situations throughout my life. Where does this feeling of self-consciousness come from? Well, the roots run deep. Psychologically, it's intricately linked to our self-esteem, which is the overall sense of our own worth. If our self-esteem is fragile, we're more likely to be self-conscious. We're more sensitive to perceived criticism, more prone to comparing ourselves to others, and more likely to internalize negative judgments. Sociologically, the pressures are relentless. We live in a world saturated with images and messages that shape our perceptions of beauty, success, and worth. Social media, in particular, can amplify these pressures, creating a constant stream of comparison and the illusion of perfection. We see curated versions of other people's lives, and we often feel inadequate in comparison. The pressure to fit in, to belong, to be accepted, these are powerful drivers of self-consciousness. The beauty and the challenge of being human is that we all share these feelings, these vulnerabilities. We might be self-conscious about different things, our appearance, our skills, our intelligence, our social awkwardness, but the core experience is the same. It's about that fear of not measuring up, that worry about what others think. It's about feeling exposed. Think about it. Have you ever felt your cheeks flush in a social situation? Have you ever avoided a conversation because you were afraid of saying the wrong thing? Have you ever spent hours agonizing over a photo you posted online? If you have, you've experienced self-consciousness. It's a universal language. Self-consciousness isn't just a mental state. It's a physical one, too. It manifests in our bodies in very real ways. The racing heart, the sweaty palms, the dry mouth, the trembling voice. It can be incredibly draining. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine a time when you felt deeply self-conscious. What were you seeing? What were you hearing? What were you feeling in your body? Did you feel the urge to shrink, to disappear? Did you feel your muscles tense, your breath shallow? Try to re-experience those sensations, to bring them into the present moment. The struggle with self-consciousness is something that connects us. It's a shared human experience. It's a reminder that we are not alone in our vulnerabilities. Think about the times you've witnessed someone else struggling with self-consciousness. Perhaps a friend who was nervous before a presentation, or a colleague who seemed uncomfortable in a social setting. Did you feel empathy? Did you want to offer them support? Chances are you did, because we understand, on some level, what they're going through. We've been there too. So what are the specific things that trigger your self-consciousness? What are the core concerns that fuel that inner critic? Is it your appearance, your intelligence, your social skills, your professional performance? Let's dig a little deeper. What underlying fears are at play? Are you afraid of rejection, of failure, of judgment, of not being good enough? These fears are often at the root of our self-consciousness. They're the shadows that haunt us. I want to invite you, our listeners, to engage in some self-reflection. Grab a journal or simply take a moment to think about these questions. What specific aspects of yourself do you feel most self conscious about? Be honest with yourself. There's no judgment here. What are the underlying fears that fuel your self consciousness in these areas? What are you afraid of? How does your self consciousness manifest physically? What are the physical sensations you experience? How does your self consciousness impact your daily life? Does it affect your relationships, your work, or your overall well being? What are the stories you tell yourself about why you are self conscious? We'll return to these questions later, but for now, let's explore this idea of the inner critic in more detail. The inner critic is that voice inside our heads that constantly judges us, criticizes us, and tells us we're not good enough. For me, the inner critic's voice was particularly loud when I was younger, constantly harping on my acne. It would tell me that I was ugly, that people wouldn't want to be around me, that I'd be alone. It was a relentless barrage of negativity. I remember a particularly difficult incident. I was trying out for a role in the school play. The inner critic was having a field day, telling me I'd forget my lines, that I'd ruin the play, that everyone would laugh at me. And of course, I was so nervous that I stumbled. The self-consciousness was overwhelming, and it took me years to feel comfortable in front of an audience again. Where does the inner critic come from? Often it's formed early in life, through the messages we receive from our families, our peers, and our society. If we grew up in an environment where criticism was common, or where we were constantly compared to others, we're more likely to develop a harsh inner critic. The inner critic's impact can be devastating. It can erode our self-esteem, fuel our self-doubt, and lead to anxiety, depression, and other mental health challenges. It can also prevent us from taking risks, pursuing our dreams, and forming meaningful relationships. It keeps us small, trapped in a cycle of self-criticism. The inner critic is a master of disguise. It can sound reasonable, even helpful at times. It might tell you it's just trying to protect you, to prevent you from making mistakes. But in reality, it's often driven by fear and insecurity. The good news is that we can learn to recognize the inner critic's voice. We can learn to challenge its negative messages and to replace them with more compassionate and supportive ones. We can learn to silence the critic, or at least to turn down the volume. Pay attention to the language your inner critic uses. Is it harsh, judgmental, demanding? Does it use absolute terms like always or never? Does it exaggerate your flaws and minimize your strengths? Close your eyes again. Imagine your inner critic standing before you. What does it look like? What is its tone of voice? What specific phrases does it use? Really picture it. Every single one of us has an inner critic. It's a universal experience. Some critics are louder than others, but we all have that voice inside that can be critical and discouraging. Understanding that the inner critic is a common experience can be incredibly liberating. It can help us to feel less alone, less ashamed, and more motivated to challenge its negativity. What is the inner critic trying to achieve? What is its underlying agenda? Is it trying to protect you from failure, from rejection, from pain? Or is it simply a product of old programming, a learned behavior that no longer serves you? The more we understand the inner critic's motivations, the better equipped we are to challenge its messages. Here are some more questions for reflection. What specific phrases or criticisms does your inner critic use most often? Write them down. What is the tone of your inner critic's voice? Is it angry, sarcastic, dismissive? What are the inner critic's underlying fears? What is it afraid of? What are the negative consequences of listening to your inner critic? How does it affect your life? How can you reframe the negative messages from your inner critic? Can you replace them with more positive and supportive ones? We're going to take a short break. When we return, we'll delve into some practical strategies for managing self-consciousness and silencing the inner critic. We will explore the path to self-compassion and authenticity. Welcome back. We've explored the depths of self-consciousness, examined its roots, and identified the inner critic. Now let's shift our focus to practical strategies for managing self-consciousness and building resilience. Over time, I learned to manage my acne and my self-consciousness. It wasn't an overnight transformation, but a gradual process. I sought professional help, which provided me with techniques to manage the physical symptoms. But beyond that, I learned to challenge the inner critic. I started to reframe my perspective, to see my acne not as a defining negative, but as a part of who I was. I started to go out more, not less, even though it was hard. One powerful tool was journaling. I began to write down the negative thoughts that fueled my self consciousness and then challenge them with more rational and compassionate responses. It helped me to gain distance from the inner critic and to see its messages for what they were, not necessarily true, but rather products of fear. There are several evidence based strategies for managing self consciousness. These strategies are rooted in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, mindfulness practices, and self compassion techniques. Challenge negative thoughts. As we discussed, the inner critic thrives on negative thoughts. CBT teaches us to identify these thoughts, challenge their validity, and replace them with more balanced and realistic ones. Ask yourself, is this thought based on facts? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness involves paying attention to the present moment without judgment. This can help us to detach from our thoughts and feelings, including those related to self-consciousness. Meditation, deep breathing exercises, and simply observing our thoughts and sensations can be incredibly helpful. Cultivate self-compassion. Self-compassion involves treating ourselves with the same kindness, care, and understanding that we would offer to a dear friend. This means acknowledging our imperfections, recognizing that suffering is a part of the human experience, and practicing self-kindness. Exposure therapy. Exposure therapy involves gradually exposing ourselves to the situations that trigger our self-consciousness. This can help us to desensitize ourselves to those triggers and to build confidence. This doesn't mean throwing yourself into a situation you're not ready for. Start small and build up gradually. Set realistic expectations. Perfectionism is a major driver of self-consciousness. Setting realistic expectations for ourselves and others can help us to reduce our self-criticism and to embrace our imperfections. Focus on strengths. Instead of dwelling on our perceived weaknesses, we can shift our focus to our strengths and accomplishments. This can help us to build our self-esteem and to feel more confident. Seek support. Talking to a trusted friend, family member, therapist, or counselor can provide valuable support and guidance. Sharing our struggles with others can help us to feel less alone and more understood. Practice self-care. Taking care of our physical and emotional needs is essential for managing self-consciousness. This includes getting enough sleep, eating a healthy diet, exercising regularly, and engaging in activities that bring us joy. These strategies aren't a quick fix. They require practice and patience. But even small steps can make a big difference. Remember, we are all imperfect. We all make mistakes. We all have areas where we feel vulnerable. And that's okay. Close your eyes again. Imagine yourself in a situation that typically triggers your self-consciousness. This time you feel different. You feel calm, confident, and self-assured. You're not perfect, but you're okay with that. You're present in the moment. You're speaking your truth. You're embracing your authentic self. See it, feel it, believe it. Self-consciousness can be isolating, but the good news is that we can help each other. Think about how you can support someone who is struggling with self-consciousness. Listen without judgment. Offer encouragement and validation. Remind them of their strengths and accomplishments. Encourage them to seek help if they need it. Small acts of kindness can make a big difference. What does success look like when it comes to managing self-consciousness? It's not about eliminating it entirely. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about developing a healthier relationship with ourselves and our vulnerabilities. It's about learning to be kind to ourselves, even when we stumble. It's about embracing our authentic selves, flaws and all. Let's create a personal action plan. Choose one of the strategies we discussed and commit to practicing it for 1 week. This could be challenging negative thoughts, practicing mindfulness, or cultivating self-compassion. Identify one situation that typically triggers your self-consciousness. Prepare for the situation by practicing the chosen strategy. After the situation, reflect on your experience. What did you learn? What worked? What didn't work? Consider seeking professional help if your self-consciousness is significantly impacting your life. We're nearing the end of our exploration, but our journey doesn't end here. The path of self discovery is ongoing. I still experience moments of self consciousness. The inner critic still pops up from time to time. But now, I have the tools to manage it. I know that I can't eliminate the feeling, but I can choose how I respond to it. I can choose to be kind to myself, to challenge the negative thoughts, and to embrace my imperfections. The journey has taught me that self consciousness is not a sign of weakness, but of humanity. It is a reminder that we are all connected, that we all share in the same struggles. And that, in itself, is something to celebrate. Ultimately, the goal isn't to eliminate self consciousness, but to lessen its power over us. It's about cultivating a sense of self acceptance and embracing our authentic selves. This means accepting our flaws, our vulnerabilities, and our imperfections. It means recognizing that we are worthy of love, respect, and belonging, regardless of what others might think. The journey towards authenticity is not always easy. It requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to challenge our own beliefs and assumptions. But the rewards are immeasurable. When we embrace our authentic selves, we free ourselves from the shackles of self-doubt and fear. We open ourselves to deeper connections with others, and we create a life that is truly our own. Vulnerability is often seen as a weakness, but it's actually a source of incredible strength. It's what allows us to connect with others on a deeper level, to build trust, and to create meaningful relationships. Remember, the world needs your authenticity. It needs your unique perspective, your unique talents, and your unique voice. Don't be afraid to share your story, your struggles, and your triumphs. Your vulnerability is a gift to yourself and to others. Imagine the feeling of freedom that comes with self-acceptance. Imagine no longer being afraid to be yourself. Imagine speaking your truth without hesitation. Imagine living a life that is aligned with your values, your passions, and your dreams. Feel that freedom. When we embrace our authentic selves, we inspire others to do the same. We create a ripple effect of self-acceptance and compassion. We make the world a better place, one vulnerable moment at a time. Why is it important to confront your self-consciousness? Because when we can't, it can prevent us from living the life we want. What is it you want to do with your life? Who is it you want to be? Today, let's commit to taking one small step towards self-acceptance. It could be as simple as challenging a negative thought, practicing a moment of self-compassion, or sharing your story with someone you trust. To conclude, here are some final questions for reflection. What is one thing you can do today to show yourself more kindness and compassion? What is one thing you can do to challenge your inner critic? Who is one person you can share your struggles with? What is one small step you can take to embrace your authentic self? What is your biggest desire for growth in this area? Thank you for joining me on Unfiltered Reflections. Remember, the journey of self-discovery is a lifelong process. There will be ups and downs, moments of joy and moments of struggle. But with each step, each challenge, and each moment of self-reflection, you are growing, learning, and becoming more of your authentic self. If you'd like to explore more, learn more, and connect with others on a similar journey, please visit our website at Deszicakes.com. You can find more resources, read more about this topic, and connect with a community of people who are also on a path of self-discovery. Until next time, be kind to yourself, keep exploring, and remember, you are worthy, you are seen, and you are loved.